Do you ever get this weird feeling that if you're not doing something productive, you're doing life wrong? Like you sit down for 5 minutes, take a breath, and suddenly your brain yells, "Hey, shouldn't you be building a business, learning Spanish, meal prepping, running a marathon, and fixing your childhood trauma right now?" Yeah. Welcome to Western culture, where rest feels illegal. It's funny because people in the West love talking about freedom, freedom of choice, freedom of expression, freedom of doing whatever you want. But somehow, one freedom accidentally disappeared along the way, the freedom to not do anything. Because somewhere deep in Western mindset history, someone whispered, busy equals valuable. And everyone just believed it. Look around, coffee shops filled with laptops, planners, and that one guy who proudly says, "I only slept 4 hours." And everyone reacts like, "Wow, inspirational." Bro, no, that guy's dying. But that mindset is everywhere. If you live in a Western country, you probably grew up with motivational posters hanging in schools. Success never sleeps. Dream big. Work harder. Hustle 24/7. Even gym walls yell motivational threats while you're just trying to survive a treadmill. In Western culture, your worth is often measured by output. People introduce themselves like a productivity resume. "I'm a software engineer. I run marathons. I'm learning Japanese. I have a business. I meditate. I do yoga, and I'm writing a book." Cool, Jason. But do you ever chill? Here's a fun example. Weekends. Weekends are supposed to be relaxing, right? But in Western culture, weekends have become productivity Olympics. Saturday morning, gym. Afternoon, groceries. Evening, laundry. Sunday, clean house, answer emails, prep next week. Blink twice, and boom, we start working again. Rest doesn't feel like rest anymore. It feels like guilt with softer lighting. Even hobbies are not safe. If you start something just for fun, painting, playing guitar, baking, people instantly ask, "Are you monetizing it? Are you turning it into a side hustle? Do you have a business plan?" Relax. I just like drawing circle-shaped cats. Not every hobby needs a business license. But the pressure makes sense if you look at the Western environment. There's competition everywhere. Jobs, housing, social status, even fitness. There's this constant comparison culture powered by social media. Someone your age already owns a house, travels to Italy every month, has a perfectly organized pantry, and wakes up at 5 a.m. drinking green juice while reading philosophy. Meanwhile, you're celebrating because you changed out of pajamas before noon.
And we laugh, but it's real. Productivity culture in the West creates subtle anxiety. It teaches people that slowing down is failure, that taking a break is losing, that self-worth must be earned, never simply owned. And the wild part? People feel guilty even when they finally rest. You lie on the couch, scrolling, eating snacks, and instead of enjoying the moment, your brain produces a PowerPoint titled, "All the things you're not doing right now." Slides include, "You should exercise. You should read a book. You should answer that email from 3 weeks ago. You should fix your whole life." Thanks, brain. Very supportive. But this productivity pressure didn't appear randomly. It grew over generations. Western society has roots in industrial thinking, capitalism, individual achievement, and the idea that success is self-made. If someone is rich or successful, the culture often assumes they worked harder than everyone else, even though luck, privilege, timing, and opportunity play massive roles. So now, people chase bigger goals, faster timelines, and constant progress. There's this belief, if you're not doing better than you were yesterday, you're falling behind. But here's the plot twist. Many Westerners are starting to realize something. Being busy doesn't automatically mean being fulfilled. Running nonstop doesn't guarantee happiness. A full calendar doesn't equal a meaningful life. Sometimes the most productive thing isn't building something new. It's allowing yourself to feel human. And here's a thought most Westerners rarely let themselves believe. You don't have to earn rest. Rest is a right, not a reward. You don't need achievements to deserve peace. You don't need a checklist to prove your existence is valuable. You are allowed to just be, even if you're not improving, optimizing, tracking, scheduling, or multitasking. Slowing down is not laziness. It's living. And maybe the secret isn't doing more. Maybe the secret is learning when enough is enough. Let's continue with a question. When did life turn into a never-ending checklist? Somewhere in Western culture, the idea formed that every day should look like a productivity commercial. Wake up early, work out, drink almond milk matcha, cross 6 tasks off your planner before breakfast, respond to emails with enthusiasm, smile while being overwhelmed, and then do it again tomorrow. And if you don't do all that, your brain goes, "You failed today. Try harder." It's almost like Western society treats life as an ongoing competition. Career, fitness, relationships, finances, even happiness. Everything must be optimized. Even sleep became competitive. People proudly say, "I function perfectly fine with only 5 hours of sleep." No, you don't. You're hallucinating confidence. But the pressure to be productive isn't just personal. It's cultural.
Take the Western workplace, for example. In many Western societies, being the first person in the office and the last person to leave isn't just normal. It's seen as impressive. It's almost a silent badge of honor that says, "I sacrifice my entire life for work. Respect me." Even vacations aren't really vacations. Westerners bring laptops to the beach, answer emails at airports, check Slack messages while hiking, and if they do disconnect, the guilt feels heavier than the suitcase they packed emotionally instead of physically. Sometimes you hear this dramatic line, "If I don't respond, everything will fall apart." Relax, Karen. You're not diffusing a bomb. You're approving spreadsheets. But the pressure doesn't only affect adults. Kids in Western culture grow up inside achievement systems. Grades, sports, awards, college applications, everything is performance-based. Even playtime slowly disappears. Childhood becomes training for adulthood rather than exploration and presence. And so the cycle continues. When those kids grow up, resting feels unfamiliar. Silence feels uncomfortable. Doing nothing feels wrong. Suddenly the question isn't, "What do I enjoy?" but instead, "How do I turn my time into something useful?" Even relationships get influenced by productivity thinking. People schedule their friendships like business meetings. Are you free next month between 2:45 p.m. and 3:10 p.m.? Spontaneity becomes a luxury. There's also this unspoken pressure to always be improving. Self-help books, podcasts, courses, planners. Western culture is obsessed with becoming a better version of yourself. And self-improvement's great, until it becomes self-punishment. Because sometimes, instead of growing, people start chasing perfection. They feel ashamed if they're not constantly upgrading themselves like a smartphone operating system. Meanwhile, their emotional battery is at 2% and glowing red. If you look deeper, the productivity obsession comes from fear. Fear of falling behind, fear of being judged, fear of being seen as unimportant. In Western societies, people are often taught that identity comes from what they produce, not who they are. Job titles become personality, accomplishments become worth, productivity becomes identity. But here's the truth Western culture often ignores. People are not machines. Humans get tired. They need connection. They need rest. They need boredom. Yes, boredom. Boredom is where creativity grows. It's where ideas appear. It's where the mind breathes. But Western culture fears boredom because it feels like wasted time. So everything gets filled. Notifications, scrolling, multitasking, planning, achieving. Life becomes full, but somehow still empty. So let's imagine a different approach. Imagine waking up and not immediately checking your phone. Imagine slowing down your morning, not to be lazy, but to be present. Imagine doing things just because they make you feel alive, not because they make you appear productive. Imagine redefining success, not as constant achievement, but as balance, peace, and meaning. Because productivity has value, but so does stillness.
Hard work matters, but so does joy. Achievement is great, but so is living slowly enough to notice your own life. Maybe the challenge isn't to produce more. Maybe the real challenge is to exist without apologizing for resting. To say, I'm worthy even when I'm not busy. To remember that a break is not the enemy of success, it's part of it. Western culture often says, don't stop. But maybe life would feel better if we learned to say, pause. Not forever, just long enough to remember that we're human, not a productivity report. And if someday you sit down, breathe, and do absolutely nothing, that's not wasted time. That might be the first moment you finally feel alive.